guys, welcome back. Hope you're all well today. So today I want to talk to you about a new direction for my collection. And as you may have guessed already, it is to do with Commodore, one of the greatest computer companies ever created. So if you know me and you've been watching my channel for a while, you'll know that back when I was a kid, the first computer I ever played on was the Commodore 64 that my dad owned, and Whaley Exploding Fish was the first game I ever played. And ever since then I've just been a gamer, just love it. And back then, the 80s, C64 was just an amazing computer. So of course you had the Commodore 64, the Amstrad CPC and the Sinclair Spectrum. And you know, loyalties were quite fierce back then, but I was definitely a Commodore kid. And I think, you know, as a kid you are loyal to the brand because that's what you have in the house. And so, you know, it's the only system you're gonna own and play on. But I absolutely love the 64. And then after that I got an Amiga 500, which was just phenomenal, such a big step up, brilliant computer. So yeah, I've decided that I'm going to go forward and start buying Commodore 64 and Amiga games. Now I haven't got the computers just yet, that will come in the future just due to the price and getting the right condition, because obviously a lot of them are yellow as well, so I want to try and get one as least yellow as possible. I'm not sure if I'm going to go boxed or loose yet because they are expensive when you go boxed as well. I'm more than likely going to get a 64C because that's what I had personally. My dad had the bread bin, and then eventually, after playing on that for a few years, they bought me a 64C for Christmas. I got the Light Fantastic pack, which at the moment is retailing for about 100 quid on eBay, which is a bit pricey. And I'll get an A500 as well because the Amiga 500 is the one I had, and it's the pure nostalgia machine for me there. So I have picked up some games, obviously ready for when those do come, and I'll continue to do that. And when I've got the money, I'll go forward and buy the computers, and then I'll be able to do some gameplays, which I'm really looking forward to because they are fantastic systems, very nostalgic, and they mean a lot to me. And so the reason this came about, I've never got round to buying a Commodore 64 since I started collecting. The reason being, the loading times always put me off. And over the years I've spoken to people like Minx36 who have said actually the loading times aren't as bad as you actually remember, Pete, and you know, you'd be alright giving it a try. And so a few weeks back I just started looking at Commodore 64 stuff, and I've been talking to Retro Dave Nintendo, and I just started thinking, you know what, I'm going to give it a shot. And then I went and watched Minx36 C64 collection again, and that was it really, because as soon as I watched that for a second time I was like, too many great games. I watched that collection, it's just amazing, and there's so many games that I've forgotten about which jogged my memory. And so I started looking around, hunting for games, and that was it. Once I bought the first couple of games I was in. So I will be buying C64 in the future. I'm not treating it as a collection though. I'm just going to buy the games as and when, whatever comes up, whether it be games that I remember and I really enjoyed, or games that someone recommends because they're not expensive, only a couple of quid each. I'll give them a try. But I'm not looking at it as a collection. I'm not saying any goals or anything like that. It's just purely for pure nostalgia and fun, which is what it should be about. The Amiga, that is not going to be a collection either, but I will be buying a lot of games for the Amiga because the Amiga, when that came out, just blew my socks off, and I had a lot of really good years with that machine. I got a lot of great memories from hanging out with friends and just really enjoying the system at the time. So yes, I will be buying a lot of Amiga games, that's for definite. I've got a list already and there's just loads, but I've decided that going forward I'm not going to set any goals for any collections anymore. It's literally just going to be a case of buying what I want when I want, and if one week I want to buy Commodore, next week I want to buy Nintendo, week after I want to buy Sega, or even want to buy PlayStation or Xbox, just whatever it takes my fancy. Because I've learned over the time I've been doing this collecting that quite frankly just setting goals and making lists and things just doesn't work for me personally. It's not the way I collect. I'm very sporadic, so I'm just going to stick with it like that. So without further ado guys, let's have a look at the games I've picked up so far. Okay guys, so here we go. First off, a couple of Commodore 64 games that I picked up recently. Now, the first couple of games are cassette games, and there are a trilogy of games from my favourite genre, the beat 'em up. Now, if you know the 8-bit beat 'em ups, you're probably going to guess what this is going to be. But these were some of my favourite games growing up, so I had to grab these first. And the first game I got, these are all black labels, so none of the Hit Squad releases, which I really don't like, and I refuse to buy those, and the Kicks and all those. So here we go. So first one, Renegade. And then of course we have the sequel, Target Renegade. And then the third game, Renegade 3, the final chapter. I absolutely love these games growing up, they're fantastic. And some of my early memories of beat 'em ups as well. Really fun titles. Renegade was really good. Target Renegade was my absolute favourite. I loved that game when it came out. And number 3 was just really weird. As you can see from the cover, it's a time travel game. So you've got mummies, you've got what look to be Cybermen from Doctor Who, and then you've got Neanderthal Man in the background. It's a really cool, interesting set of games. The first two are just straight up scrolling beat 'em ups. The third one, as I say, they put the time travel in. I don't understand what they were thinking, but it, it was a little different. I really like the covers as well. I think number 1 looks really good. Target Renegade is really nostalgic. My friend Mark had it on the Spectrum first of all. I remember going around his house and playing it and being blown away, so I was really chuffed to get it on the 64. I never had the original releases, I've had copies back in the day. And number 3, I've got to say, it's got the best cover. I mean, there's just so much going on, but it just looks so good. And I think as a kid, having seen that cover, you just know exactly what to expect. You're like, okay, I'm going to be fighting, but I'm going to be fighting in different time zones, and that's just really cool. And one thing I love is the logos from back then as well. Both the 8 and 16-bit era, the logos for the companies were fantastic. They're really memorable logos. I mean, you look at those Imagine logos there. Yeah, Imagine the name of the game, and even the font they use and everything, it just looks brilliant. Really impressed with it. So I'll just show you around the back. So see what the screenshots are like. So obviously these are 8-bit games, so don't expect anything too spectacular graphically. There we go. So yeah, so that's the Renegade trilogy, and I will be getting a lot more Commodore cassettes. There's a lot of games I haven't got yet, obviously, that I need to get. Games that are very nostalgic for me, such as Hunchback, Bruce Lee, Whale Exploding Fist, the first game I ever played, Fist 2, which I never managed to finish, it was a really hard game. Then the Last Ninja series, and plenty more. There's a lot of games from back then. But there you go, that's the first cassette games anyway. It's the Renegade trilogy. Now, for anyone that doesn't know, back in the day, Commodore, you had cassettes were your main source of gameplay, but they also had a 1541 floppy drive which would play 5 1/4 floppy disks. So they put some games on floppy disk. But at the end of the life of the computer, they also decided to put out some cartridges, because obviously consoles were starting to become a thing at the end of the 80s, and you know, we had the NES and the Master System, and where I grew up, nobody really had those. One of my best friends had a Nintendo. I'm not entirely certain if it was the end of the 80s or the beginning of the 90s even. It was quite late. So consoles really didn't factor where I was growing up at the time. It was all about the three computers, Commodore, Sinclair and Amstrad. And they started putting out cartridges on the Commodore. Now, back then, I had one cartridge game and that was it. And I was only aware of one other game that was released, which was the Last Ninja Remix, which is now very difficult to get and expensive. But the one game I did have, I managed to pick it up for a couple of quid. It wasn't very expensive at all. I'm really glad to get this. And it is by Ocean, and it's Robocop 2. Now, it's a platform game, not most Robocop games from that era. But I remember it was really hard. It wasn't the best game in the world, but I kind of enjoyed it. And you know, it was a novelty having a cartridge to plug in the back of the computer or something a little different. And I just wanted to get it for pure nostalgia, and that was the main reason I picked it up. So there you go, you see the graphics. They're actually not that bad on the cartridge, actually. They look quite nice, I think. I mean, the Commodore games, for me personally, they look fantastic, but if you've never played on a Commodore, you might think, Christ, they look a bit outdated. But yeah, very cool. Got 16 levels as well. I remember it being very tough though. So, if you've never seen a Commodore cartridge, just show you what they look like as well. So they're pretty similar to the Amstrad GX4000 really. They're little cream cartridges. One thing I do like is the Ocean have embossed their logo. I think that looks really nice. They're very basic, as I say, just a label, no photograph or anything like that, only nice artwork. Just a warning on the back, don't open it. Although they are sealed cartridges, they haven't got any screws, so it's not like Nintendo and Sega where you can just whip them open. And there you go, so that's the first one I picked up. Now I picked up a couple more cartridge games because I kind of got the bug for it. So what happened was I went online, did a bit of searching, a bit of Wikipedia, a couple of websites to find out what games were released on cart. Now the best games, there are a lot of games released on cartridge, but the best proper games, because there are a lot of like cheap arcade ports and things, but the best games were released by Ocean and System 3. Now System 3, there was only two of their games I was interested in, which were Myth and Last Ninja Remix. Now, as I say, Last Ninja Remix isn't coming up that often, it's quite pricey. Myth is selling for about 50 quid boxed in decent condition, so it doesn't seem to come that often either, but when it does, that's not too bad. With Ocean, they had quite a really decent amount of games released on cartridge. I was surprised how well they supported the system, because the cartridges were supposed to be for the Commodore 64 GS, the game system, which is a very rare Commodore console. They're starting to come up more often now, which is weird. I've seen a couple in the last couple of months, which is surprising. And they've come down in price, and all they've halved. They've come down to 200 quid now, which is much more obtainable. So in the future, I'd really like to get one if I can. But for the time being, once I get a Commodore 64 computer, I can just put them in the back of there and play it. But it would be nice to own the console as well. Anyway, so enough waffling. I had a look at the Ocean list, and there's a lot of games I want. I did consider, because I think there's around about 10 games roughly. Don't quote me on that, it's about that. And I was tempted to go full set Ocean. Some of the games, a couple of the games in particular, are really tough to get. One Double Dragon, I haven't even seen it come up yet. And Batman was another one which has come up recently. One person wanted 80, one person wanted 70. They weren't in good enough condition, to be quite honest. The one with 70 quid was best offer as well. So I think the 80 quid one, was it, or 70? I think the 80 quid one sold because it was in better condition. And oh, that was just took it down, I'm not too sure. Nonetheless, I'll wait till a better copy comes up. But yeah, there's a couple of games which are tough to get on Ocean, but there's a few that are just really simple to pick up. It's just waiting for the one in the right condition. So when I picked Robocop 2 up, the next one I went for, which I was amazed that I didn't even know this existed, as I say, I was only aware of Robocop 2 and Last Ninja back then. But I picked up Robocop 3. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. I was well chuffed to find out to put this out. The cover's not brilliant, because obviously you've got Robocop 2, iconic cover from the film, which I love. Robocop 3, got that kid strapped to him, and it's just memories of a shit film. And that god-awful weapon on his arm, oh my god. Anyway, the thing I find interesting is why it is that Ocean on the Robocop 2 has got the cartridge, and on Robocop 3 it's got the bread bin and the C64C. Bit confused as to why they put both computers on instead of just putting a cartridge on there. Don't know. Unless they just wanted to make sure that everyone knew you could plug it into the computer, and maybe when Robocop 2 came out, it was early when they started making carts, and then Robocop 3 came out a bit later and they found that people weren't aware you could plug them into the computer. I don't know. Anyway, same sort of game again. There's some light gun action, coupled with some nice platforming. I've never played this because I had no idea it existed. It does look quite good from what I've seen on YouTube with the gameplays and everything, so looking forward to checking that one out. So yeah, so there's 2 cartridges anyway, so that's 2 down. And the next one I picked up, so this will piss off Novabug, sorry Chris, if you're watching. The elusive game that Chris wants on the Amstrad GX4000 that everyone seems to argue about whether it's actually a legitimate release or not. But it was on Commodore, we were lucky, we got it on our system. And it is Chase HQ2, Special Criminal Investigation. Absolutely brilliant, I was well chuffed to get this. And I've just noticed the price tag on all £13.50. I actually paid 14 quid for this, which isn't bad at all. Because some jokers are asking 30 quid for it. They're having a laugh. But yeah, I love the cover and all. Really good. Now, I love Chase HQ back in the 80s. Number 1 and number 2. Number 1 was my favourite. I think number 2 at the time I really liked it because the little bloke jumps out of the car and fires his weapon, so it gives you a bit of an advantage to take the enemy down. But nowadays I would say that's probably a disadvantage because it makes the game a bit too easy. Whereas in the first game you've got to keep the speed up and you've got to ram him off the road. The second one you can kind of cheat by shooting the car, which I don't know. Maybe I'll change my mind when I eventually play it and it won't be as easy as I thought it would be, but it seems like a bit of a cheat, that does. Nonetheless, anyway, got Chase HQ2, so I'm really happy to add that one to the collection. Okay, and then one more Commodore 64 game that I picked up, which literally came today, a couple of hours ago. Really glad to get this one. It's on Amstrad GX4000 as well, and I will be getting it for the GX4000 at some point. I got a really good deal on this because people are charging double what I paid for it, so I'm very happy. And it is Navy SEALs. The box has got some wear. That's the thing with these cartridge boxes. I don't think I have much luck getting them in really nice condition. I'm just doing the best I can at the moment because a lot of them are quite beaten up. I mean, these are really old, so you know. But nonetheless, yeah, Navy SEALs. It's out on the Amstrad GX4000 as well. Now, I've looked at both gameplays on YouTube, and it appears that for some reason the Amstrad version, when you're playing the game, has no music, it's just sound effects. But the Commodore 64 version has the most stonking soundtrack I've heard in a long time. It sounds absolutely amazing. And that's not fanboyism, that's just a pure observation. But what I would say is that the Amstrad version graphically I think looks better. There's a lot more colours and it looks absolutely stunning. As opposed to the 64 version, which looks a bit bland and a bit like an old Commodore 64 game, like they didn't really bother to. I don't know if there's any advantages using cartridges, any in terms of chips, if they could actually upgrade the graphics or anything. But it didn't look like much of a difference between the cassette games, to be quite honest with you. But the soundtrack is the reason to own it. So if there was some way that someone could do a homebrew and combine the graphics of the Amstrad GX4000 with the music of the Commodore 64, you'd have an absolutely amazing game. And it's got a zap sizzler and all, nice. But yeah, I was really chuffed to pick this one up. So the Amstrad version is, last time I checked, how much was it? Like 30 quid I think it was or something? No, 40 quid. Yeah, 40, around about 40, 45. It's quite pricey. This one at the moment on eBay, people are asking 30 quid for. I actually got this from flashbackgames.co.uk. Never used them before, but I saw they had this for 20 quid or best offer. So I offered them 15 and they took it. So I was well chuffed with that. And the condition's really good because the ones on eBay I was finding were pretty beaten up. And you know, if you wanted one in decent shape, people were charging like 35 quid. And I was like, I'm not paying that. No way. I do like the fact that the way they've done the ocean logo there, you've got the seals just dropping in on the parachute. It's really cool. Love that ocean logo. Seal quality, that is. Absolutely brilliant. So there you go, guys. Those are the Commodore 64 games I've picked up so far. There will be more. As I say, I'm going to try and pick up more of the ocean games on cartridge. And I will be buying a lot more tapes at some point. But yeah, no rush. Slow and steady. We'll get there. So, hope you enjoyed that, guys. Now, let's go and take a look at my Amiga games. Okay guys, so here we go. This is the Amiga pickups that I got recently. And the first game up is a game that I purchased about a year ago. It's a bit of a spur at the moment. I saw it on eBay going cheap and I thought, why not? Because one day I might get back into the Amiga. I'm glad I did now, of course. And that game is The Last Ninja 3x System 3. Really cool game. These are isometric action adventure games. Now they have made Last Ninja 1, 2 and 3. They also made Last Ninja Remix, which I believe is a remix of the second game, which was set in New York. Second game was always my favourite, absolutely brilliant. Really cool games, and the graphics are absolutely beautiful. Just getting close to have a look at that. Yeah, absolutely stunning game. So that's Last Ninja 3. Now to the recent pickups that I've got from eBay. So first of all, I was talking to Alex, BlueTonic78 on Twitter, and it's his fault that I've actually got back into the Amiga, which is a good thing, because for months now, probably a couple of years in fact, me and Alex have been talking about the Amiga and the ST every now and again, like we do. And we were talking the other night on Twitter DMs, and the topic of the ST and the Amiga came up again as always. And Alex said, well, is there any chance you're ever going to really give it another shot? And I said, well, I'll only ever get back into the Amiga if a particular game comes up for sale, big box, for a decent price in good nick. Now, I've been trying to get this game for years, never found it. I've never been actively searching though. I don't search every day for Amiga games. So I'll probably have missed copies, and Alex has told me that he has seen the odd copy now and again. So we're having this conversation on Twitter, and Alex says, oh, as it happens, there's one on eBay at the moment. I was like, oh, just by luck. So I was like, go on then, send me the link. So I had a look at the auction, and it was a really good price with a best offer option as well. The condition was excellent. So I thought, well, this is a sign from God, it's time to get back into the Amiga. So that game, guys, that I picked up, I'm really happy to have this. It's extremely nostalgic for me. Brings back a lot of good memories. And that is Elite's Akari Warriors. Absolutely brilliant, because all you ever see on eBay are the little plastic re-releases. You never see the big box cardboard case, and I love this. I mean, that artwork is just superb. I'll show you around the back, so you've got the screenshots there. Now, it does say screenshots taken from various computer formats, because obviously you have got blatant Spectrum screenshots on the back of there, for Christ knows what reason. But yeah, this is a great game. This is a run from the bottom to the top of the screen, 8-directional shooter, top down. Just think games like Commando, Rambo, Mercs. Absolutely stunning game. I would play this to death when I was a kid. My cousin used to own this. I never owned the actual box myself. I probably had a pirated copy now in my luck. But yeah, I used to play this with my cousins all the time. I used to go and we used to play Akari Warriors and Barbarian, the Palace game. Those were our favourite games to play. Because we used to obviously with this you could play 2 players together, and Barbarian you would face off against each other. I remember the one night in particular we played this for hours upon hours, and I'm pretty sure we finished it, but I'm not 100% certain we completed the game, but I'm pretty sure we did, because we put a lot of hours into it. And it's fantastic. I'm really looking forward to getting an Amiga again and playing this game. It's probably going to be really difficult as well. You do get your guns, you get your grenades, you also get to drive tanks as well, so what's not to love? And I just love that cover. So that was Akari Warriors, so that was it. Once I bought that, that was it. It was on. I had to buy more. Well, of course I didn't have to, but I couldn't resist. So I started to look for the games that, when I was a kid, because like all of my friends, we pirated games, you know, that's just the way it was back then. I only had a handful of actual official original games in their big box format. So I wanted to get those back for the nostalgic reasons. Now I've managed to get 3 of the 5 that I had. The 2 that I haven't got yet are Lemmings, because I can't find one in good enough condition, and Final Fights. There are 2 big box copies of Final Fight currently on eBay, one for £18, one for £23. The £18 one is in better condition, but I'm not willing to pay that because one sold on eBay recently for £7. So I'd rather wait it out and see if I can get a better deal. But the first game I did pick up If you know me, there were 3 games I played in the arcade. I've mentioned them many a time, and this is one of them, and one of my absolute favourites of all time, the almighty Pit Fighter. So yeah, I had this big box one Christmas on my Amiga. I was so chuffed because I was such a fan of the arcade game at the time. I played it to death. Every time I went to the arcades, me and my cousin would just jump on Pit Fighter and abuse it. Brilliant game. And this for me is possibly the best home port that came out. It's fantastic. The consoles, the Master System one looks okay. I've never actually played it. The Mega Drive one's really good, but the sprites are really small. It does play very well though. And the Super Nintendo one, well, we don't really talk about that because it's so bad. It's one of the rare occasions where a Super Nintendo game is terrible. Yeah, it really wasn't well done at all. But the Amiga version, as you can see, has got really big, authentic arcade sprites. It looks a lot like the original. It's a really decent little port, this was. So I was really happy when I got this that Christmas. You know, I know Pit Fighter to a lot of people is a crap game, but to me, it's all about the nostalgia and the memories. And I actually really enjoy playing the game. I find it a lot of fun. I always play as Ty, because Ty's brilliant. He can do the spin kick. But yeah, excellent game. And then the next one I picked up is one I also got for Christmas one year. And I recently picked up the Japanese Mega Drive version of this, and it is called Mega Twins. Now, I don't know if this is made by Capcom and published by US Gold. I'm thinking it probably is, but this is a fantastic game from back in the day. Interesting little platformer. I didn't actually remember the cover looking this way when I found it on eBay. I was quite surprised when I saw it. It just shows you memory can change quite a lot over the years, but I was really happy to find this one because the condition is excellent. It's well worth the money. So I jumped on it when I saw it. I picked up the Japanese Mega Drive version recently, Chicky Boys, which is really fun. I've been enjoying that quite a lot. And this looks really nice. I can't remember how this compares to the Mega Drive. I don't know if it's exactly the same or if they've changed things on each version, but I'll wait and see when I play it. But there you go, you got the Amiga version at the top, the Atari ST, another Amiga screenshot, and then the Commodore 64 for some reason at the bottom. I'm assuming that's because they wanted kids at the time who didn't have an Amiga to upgrade, so they'd look at this and go, well, that's what my 64 can do, but look what the Amiga can do, because it does look absolutely stunning. And yeah, I absolutely love Mega Twins. Really cool platform game. So I'm really glad to pick that one up. And then the last one I picked up from my original set. Got a fantastic deal on this game because this game, people are asking double what I paid for it. So the seller I got it from was actually having a clear out and just trying to sell their games. So they let it go cheap, which is brilliant. It's a Psygnosis title, and it is Leander. I mean, just look at that. Massive box, awesome Psygnosis logo, love that. And that artwork is just absolutely fantastic. I've been really impressed with some of the old 8 and 16-bit computer artwork. I never realised as a kid how good it actually was. Really impressive. It's got the original sticker there from Hackers Alley 1999, which is what I actually got the game for. So people are asking 40 quid for this on eBay. I don't think so somehow. So you do have to wait for a right deal on the Amiga games because some people with their buy nows are absolutely crazy. So there you go, back of the box. It's a really nice, colourful platformer, really fun game. And of course, if you want to see a gameplay of this game, just click on the link in the top right hand corner of the screen. That will take you to my good friend Alex Blutonic78's gameplay that he did a while ago. Really good gameplay that was. So yeah, Leander. Okay, so next up, I have a platform game that I picked up. Another big box title, one that seems to be a little bit difficult to find. It's not rare by any means, I don't think, but it's just, it doesn't come up that often. So it was going cheap, I thought I'd grab it. The outer sleeve, the slip cover isn't in particularly brilliant condition, it's quite beaten. But I don't mind because I'm not looking to get the games immaculate. I just want them nice so they look decent on the shelf, but they don't have to be perfect. And this game by Titus is the Blues Brothers. Really nice little platformer back when it came out. I remember this coming out and really enjoying it at the time. As you can see, there is a lot of wear to the outer sleeve, unfortunately, but it is what it is. There you go, a bit of a close up on the graphics there. It's got this fantastic Amiga backgrounds. I love these rainbow backgrounds the Amiga games had. There's just something really, really special and super nostalgic about this machine. I absolutely love my Amiga when I had one. So I'm really excited to be getting back into it. I love the way I've done that and all the whole level there. It's really nice. But yeah, Blues Brothers, really, really fun little title. And when I eventually get an Amiga 500, I'll do some gameplays and I'll show you what the games are like. Okay, so then I decided to get some point and click adventure games, which I loved back in the day as well. Now I wanted to get Monkey Island and Monkey Island 2, LeChuck's Revenge, but I couldn't get one of each of those in decent condition for a decent price. There's a lot of them available, they're always coming up, so I will get them eventually. But first of all, I went for a couple of really cool games. First one I got a good deal on was Beneath a Steel Sky. Really interesting game. I can't remember the exact storyline on this one. I can't remember if it was like a, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't remember what it's called then. But like, yeah, it'll come to me in a minute. Anyway, point is, it's a really cool game. And I think I played this on the PC originally. I didn't play it on the Amiga. So I'm really excited to see what it's like on the Amiga compared to the PC version. I mean, looking at the back, if those are Amiga screenshots, it looks fantastic. So I want to try and complete this. I never got very far back when it came out. I wasn't very good at this game. But I do like the point and clicks because they take a lot of time and they're always a lot of fun to play and have really good storylines. So there you go, so that's Beneath the Steel Sky. And then the next one I got a fantastic deal on, and it is Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis from LucasArts. I was really happy to pick this one up, and there's a little story to go along with this one. Basically, the seller had it on sale for $15.99 or best offer, and a lot of people were asking £40 buy now for this, which I thought was really excessive. And so I saw it for $15.99 best offer, and I thought, what a great deal, you can't argue with that. I thought it'd be a little bit cheeky just to test the water. I put an offer of £10 in, just to see what would happen. I expected him to do a counter offer. And while I was waiting for him to make a decision, I decided actually, you know what? If he accepts it, fair enough, I'll buy the game. But if he doesn't, and he counters offers, I'm actually going to cancel it because I've spent a bit too much money recently. I need to just hold back and not buy any more games for a bit. And he came back with a counter offer of £11.50, which was an exceptionally good deal. And I decided to cancel it. So I declined the offer just because I didn't want to buy the game anymore. I changed my mind. I was talking to Alex on Twitter and he was like, you know, that's a really good price, but you really should just go for it. And I was like, yeah, but you know, I bought a lot of games. I need to just hold back a little bit at the moment. I can always get it in the future because it comes up regular. And about half an hour later, I got an email from the seller, and he must have thought that I was being tactical when I really wasn't. I was genuinely had changed my mind. But he said, okay, mate, no worries. Put the offer in again. You can have it for a tenner. And I kind of felt a bit awkward and guilty in a way because I wasn't playing games. I was genuinely changing my mind on the purchase. But of course, when he said I can have it for 10 quid, I thought, well, you know, all the other people are asking 40 for it. I'm really not going to get a deal like that again. So I thought, why not? So it was well worth the purchase. It's a fantastic adventure game. Another one I need to sit down and complete. So next up, a couple of smaller box games. Now the first one is a game that I used to play a lot when I used to go around my cousin's. His sister, my other cousin, her boyfriend had an Amiga, and we used to go in their flat and we used to play this game all the time. It's one of our go-to games, and it is Shadow Warriors by Ocean, known in America as Ninja Gaiden. This is a really, really cool game. Different take on the Ninja Gaiden series. It's not the usual platforming action. This is a scrolling beat-em-up game, and you can interact with the backgrounds. You can swing from lampposts. You can bounce off walls and go over the top of the enemies. Really fun acrobatic ninja game. Very difficult. I always found at the time that if you didn't time your hits just right, the enemies would just own you and you get your ass kicked. But I always enjoyed it. It was a really fun game and cool little cover as well. Not bad at all, that one. So yeah, I was really glad to pick that one up. Next one I picked up was a game that was another sort of semi-nostalgic purchase because my friend Mark, he had an Amiga before me. He went from the Spectrum Plus 3 to the Amiga 500, and he had this game, and I used to love playing this back in the day at his house. And I played it a couple of years ago and I really enjoyed it, so I had to pick it up. Another Ocean title, RoboCop 2. So I now have it on the 64 and the Amiga, which is brilliant. And the original boot sticker there, $24.99. Do kind of like having the old stickers when they're on there from the shops. Gives that a little authenticity. I always like that RoboCop 2 cover, I think that's brilliant. There you go, so it is like most RoboCop games of the time, a platform game, which I never understood because of the physics, but hey, you know, we'll go with it. But it's a really fun game. You just basically run around platforms, saving hostages, shooting people in the face. Now you do become a bit of a bullet sponge on this game. I find that you just absorb so many bullets, it's ridiculous, and I always tend to die quite a lot. But what I loved was the sound effects in this game. They got the sound effect of RoboCop's movements absolutely spot on. It's such a fun game. They also put out RoboCop the arcade game, which was a decent port, and they put out RoboCop 3, which was a first-person shooter, which was really cool. And it had a little dongle that you had to put in the computer, which was like an anti-piracy device at the time. That was a really nice touch. But yeah, RoboCop 2 is definitely my favourite of the three. Okay, so the next game up is a game that, again, I saw Alex Blutonic78 do a gameplay of a while ago. And when he did that gameplay, it jogged my memory because I completely and utterly forgotten this game existed. I played a lot of games back in the Commodore days. Because we were all pirating games, we had literally hundreds of games to play through. So remembering all of them is quite difficult. But when I saw this, it really made me go, oh my god, I have to buy that. It is a little bit difficult to track down complete, unfortunately. But I did manage to get one from metrogames.co.uk for a really good price. And that game is by Core and it's called Warzone. Now, if you want to see the gameplay, just click on the link that's appearing in the top right hand corner of the screen. That'll take you to Alex Blutonic78 gameplay. Another great gameplay from Alex there. So there we go, Warzone. And of course, if you do watch those gameplays for Leander and Warzone and you like Alex's channel, give him a subscribe because he's a brilliant bloke. And this is a fantastic game. This is like, again, like Arcade Warriors, it's like Mercs and Commando and Rambo, those type of games where you're running up the screen, you're just shooting everything and blowing stuff up. And it's got those really beautiful, crisp Amiga graphics. Fantastic game. I'm really excited to play this one. I cannot wait to get an Amiga 500 now. It's going to be great. Really nice cover as well, actually. And the last game to show you guys today, I got really lucky with this one. This one came up, I had absolutely no idea that this actually existed as well. I thought that, in hindsight, I should have known that there was actually a big box version, but I've only ever seen on eBay the little square cardboard box, the Hit Squad edition, which I had no interest in buying that whatsoever. This came up one night and I did a search for newly listed items, and I couldn't believe it. And it is R-Type. Now, I will hold it because it does tend to fall forward, but how nice is that artwork? Seriously, absolutely brilliant. They did such a nice job on it. And if you go on the back, it's even better. On the rear, we got this. Very cool. Now, interestingly, it does say the left-hand screenshot is Commodore and the right-hand screenshot is Atari ST. I'm calling bullshit on that because that is not a Commodore screenshot. That's a Spectrum screenshot. I think there's some serious mistakes being made there. There's no way that's a Commodore screenshot. Certainly ain't an Amiga screenshot anyway, for sure. So there you go. That's R-Type. Now, this was on sale, £5 buy now. Untested. Now, I don't usually buy them untested because obviously the disc can die and I want to make sure the game works. But I thought for £5, well, we're up a risk. And I talked to Alex about it on Twitter and we both looked at the sold listings at the same time. And about a week to a week and a half before I purchased this, one had sold on auction for £51. So I was very lucky. I was talking to the seller afterwards about the games that they had for sale because there were a couple I was interested in. And they said, oh yeah, what we usually do, I'll put the games up for the going rate and then lower them accordingly if they don't sell. Well, obviously they didn't check how much this had sold for recently, and I got an absolute bargain. So a lot of Retro Dave said to me when I talked about this to him, he said, at the end of the day, £5's well worth a punt because even if the game doesn't work, you've got the box now, so you can always just wait it out until a disc turns up that actually works and replace the disc. And he's right, it's a good point. So there you go, so that's R-Type, one of the best big box games I've seen so far. Really nice art. So those are the Amiga games that I've picked up recently, guys. Okay guys, so there you go. Those are the 64 and Amiga games I've picked up so far. Nice selection, I think. A good start to the two collections there. And of course they will grow. As I said before, there will be more games being added over time, and I'll do pick up videos as they come in. And then once I get the two computers as well and I have them set up, I've got a nice area to set them up now. Behind the camera there is where I used to have my record deck and speakers. That's now gone downstairs so I can listen to my music in the living room because, quite frankly, I couldn't be bothered to keep coming up to the game room to listen to music. So I've decided to move that downstairs, and that space behind the camera is now going to be used when I have the money to place an Amiga 500 and TV and have that set up. And then the C64, I've got to work out what I'm going to do. If I'm going to put it over there as well and just swap them out when I need to, or if I'm going to put it over there with the rest of the systems. We'll wait and see on that one. Probably will end up all being behind this camera at the moment. But that's the plan. And obviously I can do some gameplays and show you what all the games are like. So I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching as always. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the games shown in this video, and also just hear your memories of the 8-bit computer generation and the 16-bit generation as well, whether you owned an Amstrad, a Sinclair, a Commodore or an Atari. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are and your memories. Thank you very much for watching as always, guys. Please remember to like, comment, share and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.